we talk about the environment, and I know that you speak a lot about this. As far as genetics go, it's not always that you have the gene and it will be turned on. It very
Yeah,
much is to do a lot of the time with the environment and the
yeah,
stress in the environment, the way that you interpret your environment. You know, you talk about in your new book, you speak a lot about case studies of people that have these terminal illnesses. And I want to read a part in your book. It says, this is speaking about people that had so-called incurable diseases that suddenly did heal. You know, you could call them spontaneous remissions as we do. Healing, not cure, is the blessing that disease bestowed on these people. Cure can never be guaranteed. Healing is another matter, and it is available until we draw our last breath. And I wonder, what correlation do you see between healing from cancer and all these other kind of diseases? A lot who are told that they are, that they won't, that they're, really aggressive and they won't heal, that they suddenly do.
I called Jeff Rediger in my book. I talked to him when I was writing it, and both he and I and other people who studied these so-called spontaneous remissions, we realized there's nothing spontaneous about
No.
them. They don't just happen out of the blue. They actually happen for a reason. That reason has to do with the mind-body unity. So if you realize that people's emotional lives and traumas and stresses have a lot to do with their physical illnesses, which, according to all the research, they do, it also means that if you change your emotional life and your relationship to yourself, there's a potential for a different outcome.
Yes.
Now, I'm not selling snake oil here. There's nothing to guarantee. There's no promise of a cure here. But what Jeff did find, and by the way, I was talking to Jeff just as I was writing the book, and despite the scientifically demonstrated mind-body unity, he told me that to talk about mind-body medicine at Harvard is still to jeopardize your career.
Yeah.
He says that's changing, but it's very difficult. Now, this is after decades and decades and decades of research linking stress, trauma, emotional states to chronic illness. It's the medical resistance is unbelievable.
So
But
can I
but
tell
Jeff
you, yes, sorry, it is unbelievable, but to not think that the mind is also associated with disease. I mean, how can you not think there's a correlation between that? It's a suffering,
well,
anger, trauma, resentment, jealousy, all of these emotions, if you hold on to them long enough, of course they're going to manifest into disease if they're
well,
never dealt with.
or if you suppress the healthy anger
Yeah.
that's there. No,
Yes.
you mentioned science, but here's the point. This is science.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
this isn't intuition
Yeah.
purely. This is documented, decades old, more than 100 years old, research oriented, published in major journals, scientific stuff. And so my frustration with my own profession here, the medical profession, is not that we're scientific, it's that we're not scientific enough.
Mm.
We sort of pick and choose, we cherry pick the science that we're going to look at. And the science of mind-body unity, which is not even vaguely controversial from from a documented research point of view, is just not taught in the medical schools. That's what's so interesting here. But to come back to Rediger and myself, we both found that the people who do find healing are the ones who deal with their stresses and their traumas and who have a transformed relationship with themselves. Now, and actually what they did is they ended up using the disease as a teacher. Um, what does this disease manifest about my life? What processes in my life does this disease represent? And what can I do in my life to affect that process?
Mm.
That's what all these people, whether they did supplements or yoga or meditation or walking in nature or spiritual pursuits, changes of diet, new forms of exercise. The biggest change was they transformed their relationship to themselves. And if you ask any of them, they'd never want to go back. They'd never want to go back to the person they were before they got sick.
Yes.
And in that sense, people actually express gratitude for the illness. No, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend that way of learning. One of the reasons I wrote the book is that people will wake up before the body forces them to. But nevertheless, those people that have gone that route, they have found tremendous learning and transformation in absorbing the lessons of their journey with illness.